two fantastic talks, and I'm sorry to be vigilant on the time, but I think the question and answer
I was hoping for the hook.
You were hoping. Yeah. You almost got the hook. So questions, please, and if you could come to the mic to ask questions, that'd be great. And I'll get out.
I'm actually curious about the history of the cassette and how that was developed and implemented.
Well, I'll say that certainly the cassette has been had a lot of implementation. Before Sony, you saw that prototype slide there in '68 there of that first U-matic cassette, which actually never appeared the way you see it here. There were other manufacturers in the '60s trying to come up with a containerized version to hold video. This is a very awkward thing that you kind of have to do this and you kind of have to thread it around machines. It's not something that the user or, people kind of, they don't, it wasn't a user-friendly thing. And I think it started in the late 50s there with RCA and other people coming out with the first versions of the compact audio cassettes. So they saw how well that worked for audio tape. They wanted to migrate that to video. Same user friendliness. Any other questions?
I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about the preservation of half-inch reel-to-reel videotape. It's my understanding, and I have very limited understanding, that
that's a whole other topic.
That it's like very, like a lot of this material is very degraded. A lot of the early video art was made on half-inch, so I'm just wondering. I know it's a really in-depth subject.
Well, I mean, we're in trouble. We're in trouble with video anyway, analog. I hate to tell you, but we're in trouble with decks, and we're in trouble with people and who know how to do that work on those tapes. I mean, they always need to be treated because of sticky shed, basically, because of the introduction of moisture over time, and the change in the chemical change in the binder system. Sometimes they even come off the reel like artist tape or something. It's horrible. Actually, there are people in the room who do this half-inch open reel transfer all the time. But basically, they usually need to be treated, and they do need to be treated always. I mean, I guess I would say almost always. And they can be treated by dehydration, which some people use baking to do that, or desiccating through an oven at certain temperatures over time to dehydrate, or you can dehydrate with desiccants. One of the big problems is that we have very few half-inch open reel cleaning machines. So cleaning machines can be helpful to get loose debris off of a tape. And I pretty much know all the cleaning machines around the world, and they're on less than 2 hands. There may be only on 1 hand. Here in New York, 1 in San Francisco, 2 in Australia, 2 in Bern or whatever. So it's more than 1 hand. But so it's very hard for people to take that format and work with that format outside of the vendors, and there are very few vendors. So, I mean, if you have half-inch open reel material, you need to keep it in good storage, and you need to try to get it transferred as quickly as possible. I mean, this sort of goes to this whole issue of, that we all exist together in this kind of media ecological system for media. And, yesterday, Joanna was talking about the last duplication house for 16 millimeter or 16 millimeter processing, whatever it was, but basically they're going out, these companies are going out of that business. And the same, with half-inch as well, there are limited vendors. So we really need to have a whole alternatives within the nonprofit sector for doing transfer. And what's happening is that, you're going to look around one day for a vendor, and there aren't going to be any vendors because there aren't going to be any machines. So my feeling is that museums, that whole collections we need to work together with other people in independent media and the library and archive material in a very serious way to start to establish more places for half-inch open reel and other really, and pneumatic's a big problem too. We need to have more people transferring tapes. So we need to have more people trained to do that, and we need to not have it be a mysterious process that only a few people can do and only exists in a few parts of the country. And, we just had a very big house Vidipacks go out this year. They went out of business, and they also had a whole bunch of information on the website about, historical information that went out. So, we need a mix of vendors and nonprofits, and we need to work together because those vendors are not going to be out there. I always get in a bad mood.
Well, but
I'm not actually in a bad mood. I'm just sad.
But it's the same way with all the thing is it's vendors are driven by profit. I mean, we all have to make money, and with older equipments, it gets to be very challenging because they require a lot of care. The parts are impossible to find. They take specialized expertise to keep them running. And then the media itself. I mean, when a pneumatic is a lot easier to deal with than a open reel because it's much newer in technology. So every tape, those tapes get to be a challenge to play, and you play it and you make a transfer, and suddenly it stops working, and you got to do it over again. It takes your time, and it's one of those things that people should be thinking about doing it now, because the longer you wait, the less equipment, the less talent, the less people, the less everything there will be, and you'll have a tape. There won't be a time when there'll be a time when this 2-inch, there won't be a machine to play it, and then there'll be just a paperweight.
And I can tell you two stories. I mean, one is that over 1 year, one year it was like, I'll look at that deck for $75 and no mention of any problem with parts. The next year, I can get that, it'll cost me you $200 to look at that deck, and I don't know if I can get the parts after you pay me $200. So, that's the situation with half-inch open reel. Sad. Go ahead, Steve.
Is there, is there any hope in terms of like maker culture or people who are working outside of industry, sort of hot rodding this equipment? I know there's a lot of projects like that in robotics and sort of repurposing lots of equipment. So I don't know if you have any experience in terms of specifically with videotape technology.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, like any of the YC out, we had to modify the machine ourselves to do that because it wasn't available. But you're saying the maker world, and you're from San Francisco, so you would know. There's a convention that's held in California called Make Fair, and it's all the young people that are taking objects and are repurposing them, redesigning them, re-engineering them. It's all the younger generation of people that are super creative in technical field. This fall is the first Make Fair in New York, first time ever. So we'll see what kind of talent there is. I
tell you, for half-inch open reel, I think if we could get together and buy a bunch of heads, it costs a lot of money to manufacture 1 head or 2 heads or 5 heads. If we get a bunch of heads made, then we have an opportunity to actually get some stuff, to work on things. That's really crucial that we get a bunch of heads made. The other thing is, like the cleaning machines, one in Australia that I saw was basically an RTI machine. They make cleaning machines for cassettes onto an audio machine. So, somebody out there, that's not my area of expertise, making a cleaning machine, but we need that. So we need to have people out there, trying to make new devices that are going to help us transfer the tapes, because otherwise, very few are going to get transferred. We need to take the money that we're paying for storage and put it into getting things.
And we can pick up that conversation over here when we're doing the little demo. Thank you.
So we'll be back here at 11:30.